Welcome back to yet another episode of OTM GTM Insights. I'm Ashok, and it's great to be with you all again.
And I'm Anant. Today, Ashok and I are diving deep into some of the latest updates in Oracle Transportation Management and Global Trade, specifically from the recent release of version 25C. As you know, keeping up with these enhancements is crucial for optimizing operations.
Absolutely, Anant. With our 2 decades in the space, I've seen these systems evolve dramatically, and these continuous improvements are the ones that keep OTM GTM at the forefront. Let's start with something that's always a hot topic: commitment allocation based on the tender responses.
Yes, that's a big one. I remember the discussions we used to have about how commitment usage was handled, especially when a tender was declined. A new configuration is introduced to provide more granular control over it.
Anant. Even if the configuration called decrease commitment usage when tender decline is turned off, which is the default configuration, you can still set up the specific decline reason codes that will reduce the commitment usage. This works both when planner withdraws a tender and when a service provider declines it.
Yes, that's a significant improvement for accountability, right? So for the planner, if they're withdrawing a tender, they can use the tender planner property called internal quick codes to enter the decline reason codes. If the code entered matches one of these, commitment usage decreases. This helps distinguish whether the withdrawal was due to a service provider fault, like no equipment, or a shipper side issue, like freight not being available, etc.
Spot on, Anand. For example, if carrier's fault is configured as a code and planner uses that code, the commitment usage will decrease. Any other code or a null value wouldn't decrease the commitment usage, which offers that conditional control we've been looking for.
Yes, and it's quite similar for the service provider, isn't it? They use the tender serpro property called as internal quick codes property. If their decline reason code, say no equipment, matches what's configured, commitment usage decreases, even if the general parameter is false. It really empowers users to manage commitments more accurately based on the reason for decline.
Indeed, Anand. And there's another parameter, stop commitment usage on retender. If you set this one to true, which is defaulted to false, the retendered shipment is treated as a bonus and won't impact the commitment usage for the subsequent service provider. That's a quite thoughtful addition for flexibility.
Exactly. Now, on to security upgrades, which is paramount in our industry. There's a new capability to disable basic HTTP authentication for specific inbound integration endpoints. There are security basic authentication properties available, like use case and type. This allows you to stop all or particular inbound integration endpoints from using HTTP basic authentication. It's a fine grained control over, that's enforced regardless of user or the access control lists, providing much needed flexibility.
Indeed, a good step towards enhancing and security. And speaking of security, we should also look at the new feature called Implement VPD for CSV import and export.
Yeah, when this is enabled, it applies security based on the logged in user and any user role they are currently acting as. If disabled, security is only based on the logged in user's default role. It's a small but important detail for keeping data accurate, especially when users often change roles.
Great, Anand. Now, more to the next one. For those of us deeply invested in analytics, it's announcement about introducing Oracle Analytic Cloud, which is a massive one.
Oh, absolutely. The migration from Oracle Analytics Server to the Oracle Analytics Cloud with the 25C update is a game changer for me. OAC is designed for cloud, offering scalability for the growing data needs, reducing effort for installation and patching, and also the automatic updates, which we get every 2 months with minimal downtime.
Plus, it focuses on user experience with enhanced data visualization, and intuitive self-service analytics. It's all about flexible service management with a fast setup and automated lifecycle management. It does require a one-time configuration though, but the benefits clearly outlay the effort.
Yes, Ashok. And moving on to the next topic that we have, it's the invoke container optimization for ground schedules feature, which sounds very powerful to me.
Yes, certainly. This enhances the consolidation logic for ground schedules by incorporating ConOpt algorithm and including the 3D capabilities. This means more efficient and accurate packing solutions, especially when the problem goes beyond just the weight or volume.
So we can now check an invoke container optimization box on the ground schedule for detachable, dynamic, and static schedule types. And crucially, it now supports combination equipment groups as well, which previously were not configurable for ground schedules. This means both child equipment groups, like maybe a 40-foot or a 53-foot dry van, can be used in the solution.
It's a huge plus for mixed fleets. And Anant, it also supports multi compartment equipment groups, allowing order bundles to split into different compartments. One important thing to note though, if invoke container optimization is turned on, the system will by default enable the equipment capacity, even if you had previously set it to ignore capacity in the ground schedules.
That's good to know, Ashok. It enforces real world constraints too. Let's switch gears to rate management. We have a feature called limit the rate basis items displayed for accessorial cost. This seems like a usability improvement.
It definitely is. No more scrolling down hundreds of rate basis items. This simplifies setup, improves usability, and helps eliminate errors from selecting incorrect rate basis items.
So instead of a long list, you can limit it to only the relevant rate basis items. For example, just emission related rate basis items for an emission cost accessorial. To enable this, you need to opt in the optional feature called Enable Accessorial Cost Restricted RBI Visibility and create an accessorial operand visibility set with your desired rate basis items. Then assign this set to parameter accessorial operand visibility set in the domain's default planning parameter set.
Indeed, a great way to declutter the user interface. So next up, a newly onboarded a map vendor called Map Library. This sounds like a graphical enhancement in addition to here maps.
It is. MapLibre is now available as a new open source map vendor option within the enhanced workbenches in OTM GTM. It acts as an adapter and plotting tool for Oracle Spatial OMCS backend and brings several improvements over the legacy Oracle Map cloud services.
Hmm. What kind of improvements are we talking about, Anant, here?
Well, for starters, drag and drop functionality for shipments and orders, also directional arrows for better route visualization, clustering the support for improved performance with many locations, and compass integration for reorienting the map view, and also a capture map feature to save or export the current map view. It's a more modern and interactive mapping experience for the drivers as well as planners.
That's fantastic, no? A visual upgrade can really impact user efficiency. And importantly, it doesn't require any additional configuration to enable. We should definitely recommend updating to Map Library for those still on the legacy Oracle Maps Cloud Services option.
Now let's talk about the service time adjustment factor. This sounds like a practical tool for fine-tuning transit times.
It is. This factor adjusts the transit times for external drive, lookup, and simulation rate services. It allows you to speed up or slow down the calculator service time by factor. For instance, the factor 1.05 would add up a 5% padding, useful if you want to if you want a driver to arrive at early to avoid the penalties.
So it's not a fixed amount, but a percentage adjustment, right? A
Mm.
factor less than one, let's say 0.95, would speed up the transit. This is configured directly on the rate service. It's important to remember that this does not change times, and the percentage applies evenly for short and long hauls. It doesn't alter cached data, which is good. Now, let's shift to global trade management and talk about match, exit, and entry declarations when item structure is present. This is clearly aimed at manufacturing scenarios.
It is, it is. This enhancement mainly helps the manufacturing clients by linking the exit declarations for finished goods with entry declarations for the parts used to manufacture them. The process involves creating an entry declaration to generate an inventory record for the components, and then you can create an exit declaration with the item structure.
And when you perform the create or add to existing declarations action on the exit transaction, a new reference line ID field is automatically populated with the transaction line ID. Then GTM applies trade incentive program rules and reduces the quantities available in the inventory records of eligible components based on one item structure.
It's a big deal for managing the trade incentives. And for partial quantities, the feature called Allow Partial Reconciliation checkbox in the trade incentive program needs to be set to true. You know, this is a common scenario for manufacturing clients.
Hmm. Another GTM feature that's quite helpful is populate trade program during qualification.
Ah, yes, yes. This feature automatically populates the trade programs on both the item and transaction line when trade agreement qualification is performed. For items, it happens if the classification code of the importing country is present on the item and the country of import is entered while performing the action qualify for trade agreement.
And for the transaction line, after a successful eligibility check, the trade program is copied from the associated item to the transaction line, filtered by classification code and country of import. This provides key details during the qualification of manufactured goods for trade agreements.
Yes, Ananta. It streamlines the qualification process significantly. Now, let's touch upon some REST API enhancements. Introduction of replace child feature REST API for order release lines.
Yes, Ashok. So this is an important one for integrations. It adds support for replacing child objects using the REST API. In the initial release, it's limited to replacing order release lines on the line-based order releases. You can use a put request with a replace child query parameter in the REST API call to achieve this. This effectively deletes all current lines and inserts the new ones provided in the request body.
And a crucial point here, Anant, is this operation is only supported in asynchronous mode. The scalability is really beneficial when you need to update or replace all the lines or ship units on your order release using the REST API call.
And Ashok, another REST API enhancement is the REST API available for restricted party ad hoc screening.
Yeah, yeah. See, and this enables you to send a restricted party screening request via REST and receive a response. You can send party details like name, address, along with the service preference ID. By default, the response gives you the screening results simply like pass, fail, or hold. But you can also request list of up to 5 denied parties by setting up a specific property which goes like restricted party list required.
That sounds like it significantly enhances complex data integrations. And also, no steps needed to enable it, which is always a good to have.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. So moving on to a user preference feature, the ability to select added language in user preference.
Mhm. So this feature allows users to set languages and translations provided via the label manager or CSV upload in their user preferences. To enable this, we need to log in as a DB admin and then add a new language property, which falls under custom local called lang. Then add translations via label manager. And finally, users can select it in their preferences. It simplifies accesses to new language labels, which is not supported by the Oracle system.
Yeah, indeed, it's a nice touch for the multilingual environment, especially when OTM rollouts happens in across the world. Okay, moving on to integrations. There's a new action on license called send interface transmission.
Yes, this adds the send interface transmission action directly on the license object. It allows you to send the license details outbound via REST API to any external system.
And important to note that this action, notify type, must be set to rest. Other types are not enabled. This feature further enables more robust data integrations, similar to the restricted party ad hoc screening. And finally, expanding on restricted party screening again, we have support multiple service preferences for restricted party screen.
Mhm. Yes, this is a brilliant enhancement. Previously, we would run service preferences one by one. Now, GTM can be configured to run multiple service preferences simultaneously for a party. We can achieve this by creating a restricted party screening profile, which would contain the list of service preferences we would want to screen a party against.
This profile can then be used when triggering the restricted party screening via process management as a bulk process or as a batch process. So instead of specifying a single service provider ID, you have a way to specify new restricted party screening profile IDs, and GTM screens against all the service preferences within that profile.
And that streamlines the user experience and potentially improves performance as well. A key tip here is that if both a service preference ID and a restricted party screening profile ID are specified, an exception will be thrown. Also, this feature does not work with restricted party screening via data query.
Fantastic summary, Anant. See, these updates, from granular commitment control to enhanced analytics and robust API capabilities, really show that Oracle's commitment to evolving OTM GTM. For anyone looking to maximize their logistics and trade operations, understanding these new features is absolutely vital.
Couldn't agree more, Ashok. It's about leveraging these tools to drive efficiency and maintain compliance. Thanks everyone for joining us today.
And thank you, Anant, for another insightful discussion. For our viewers and listeners, we look forward catching you up the next time on the next episode of OTM GTM Insights.